If you wanted to start like a retail business a few decades ago, you basically had to take out a second mortgage.
Oh, absolutely.
You had to sign a multi-year commercial lease, buy thousands of dollars in physical inventory, pay for local ads, and then just kind of hope enough foot traffic wandered past your door.
Right. It was a massive, massive financial risk.
Exactly. But today, we're looking at a fundamentally different reality. We are deconstructing a comprehensive 2026 guide that analyzes this really specific promotional window. It's about building, launching, and validating a global e-commerce business for, well, basically the price of a cheap cup of coffee.
Which is wild to think about. $3.
Right, $3. But look, I want to be clear to everyone listening, this isn't some late-night infomercial pitch. We are looking at hard data on Shopify's 3 months for $1 a month offer.
Yeah, we're really digging into the reality of it.
Our mission today for this deep dive is to evaluate this guide, separate all that marketing hype from the actual, boots-on-the-ground reality, and extract the strategic blueprint it provides.
Which I think is a crucial exercise. Because, the internet is just flooded with claims about building businesses for free.
Oh, totally. Everywhere you look.
But having access to a platform is just infrastructure, right? Knowing how to execute a launch strategy within a specific time constraint, that is what separates an active business from just another forgotten password.
Okay, let's unpack this. The structure of the offer detailed in our sources is a 3-day entirely free period followed by 3 full months billed at $1 per month.
Yep.
So that's a total platform investment of $3 for roughly 90 days of runway. But before we get into the features, we really need to talk about why this time frame matters so much.
What's fascinating here is the strategic shift this timeline represents in the software industry as a whole.
How so?
For years, the gold standard for e-commerce platforms was, a 14-day free trial.
Right, the classic 2 weeks.
Exactly. But a 14-day ticking clock creates this artificial panic. When you only have 2 weeks, you aren't actually building a business. You're just frantically clicking buttons to see if the interface makes sense before your credit card gets charged.
It forces terrible decisions.
Oh, completely.
The guide actually notes that under the old 14-day model, people would just grab the first low-quality dropshipping product they could find, slap it on a messy web page, and just call it a business.
Precisely. It was a recipe for churn. By shifting to a roughly 90-day model, the platform fundamentally changes the psychology of the user.
Because it actually gives you time.
Right. 90 days acts as a true business incubator. It gives you the necessary breathing room to actually source or design products, set up proper marketing campaigns, and analyze the resulting data. It basically bridges the gap between just testing the software and actually finding product-market fit.
But that brings us to the first major red flag for me. Usually in the software world, a $1 trial means you are getting a heavily restricted, elite version.
Ah, the classic freemium trap.
Right. Usually a $1 software trial is like a landlord giving you the keys to a physical storefront, but, putting caution tape over the cash register.
That's a great way to put it.
You can paint the walls and arrange the shelves, but you can't actually sell anything to a customer.
Yeah.
So what is the catch here? Is this a handicapped version of the platform?
Well, the guide is very clear on this point, and it's a critical distinction to make. This is not a stripped-down version.
Wait, really? Not at all?
Not at all. For that $1 a month, you're getting 100% of the basic plan features.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, the cash registers are fully operational from minute one. You have unlimited product listings, real payment processing, 24/7 support, and full access to their app ecosystem of over 13,000 applications.
That's huge.
It is. You even get the SSL security certificates included, which is essential because web browsers will actively block users from visiting your site if it isn't secured.
Okay, so it's not like renting a car where they give you the keys but lock the trunk. You get the whole vehicle.
Exactly, the whole vehicle.
But looking at the math in our sources, there's an obvious loophole here. If you get the entire unrestricted engine for $3 over 90 days, what is stopping someone from just churning email addresses?
The old infinite trial trick.
Right. Can't I just spin up a new email address every 3 months and keep my platform costs $1 forever?
So the source material explicitly warns against trying this, and for very good reason.
I figured they'd have safeguards.
Yeah, first, there are the technical barriers. Shopify tracks billing information, IP addresses, and bank details. If their billing detection catches you cycling promotional accounts, you get flagged and lose the discount anyway.
Makes sense.
But the much larger issue is the fundamental business logic you'd be violating.
Explain the mechanism there. How does starting over actually hurt you if the tools are exactly the same?
Because the software is just the shell, right? The actual value of an e-commerce business is its data. Every time you start a new account, you sever your connection to your customer list.
Oh man, yeah, you'd lose
You
everyone.
destroy your historical analytics. You lose the tracking pixel data that tells your advertising algorithms who to actually target.
So you're basically giving yourself amnesia every 3 months.
Exactly.
Oh.
And furthermore, you wipe out any search engine optimization or SEO progress you've made.
Okay.
Google takes time to trust a new domain. If you constantly reset your store, Google will never rank you organically.
You would effectively be burning down your own business foundation every 90 days just to save, what, $38?
Exactly. It's a terrible long-term business strategy.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because the $3 is just the platform access, we really need to evaluate the true cost of almost free.
Yes, the hidden costs.
If you're listening to this and thinking, wait, I thought this was a $3 business, where did all these other costs come from? Well, this is exactly why we are deconstructing this guide. The $3 buys you the venue, it doesn't buy you the audience.
That is the perfect way to frame it. This subscription is discounted, but everything else operating within that ecosystem operates at market rate.
Right.
The guide provides a highly realistic breakdown of these operational costs, the most prominent being transaction fees.
Let's look at the numbers the guide actually provides for that. Shopify Payments charges 2.9% plus 30 cents per online transaction on this plan.
Right.
So if you actually succeed and generate, say, $1,500 in sales during your 90-day window, you are paying about $74 in transaction fees.
Exactly. And you have to factor in your domain.
Oh, right. The guide insists you need a custom domain name, which runs about $14 to $20 a year, because let's be honest, nobody is going to enter their credit card into mycoolidea.myshopify.com.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It destroys consumer trust immediately. And you also have to factor in the app ecosystem.
Okay, what kind of costs are we talking about there?
Well, while many apps offer free tiers, essential tools for email marketing or advanced product reviews can range from $10 to over $100 a month.
That adds up fast.
It really does. But the most significant variable cost highlighted in the text is marketing. An invisible store generates zero revenue.
True.
The guide suggests budgeting anywhere from $50 to $500 just to drive initial traffic through social media ads or influencer partnerships.
So the $3 is the absolute floor, not the ceiling.
Definitely the floor.
Our sources contrast a lean launch strategy, which relies heavily on organic social media traffic and minimal apps, costing around $150 total for the 90 days.
Which is still incredibly cheap for starting a business.
It really is. And then they detail the active marketing approach, where you're aggressively testing paid ads, which easily pushes past the $500 mark.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the guide actually reframes these costs as indicators of health,
How do you mean, like, spending money means you're healthy?
particularly the transaction fees. If you are paying $74 in transaction fees, it means you successfully generated $1,500 from customers.
Oh, I see. That's a good problem to have.
Exactly. The brilliance of the 90-day promotion isn't that it makes starting a business completely free. It's that it shifts your initial capital allocation.
Right.
Instead of burning your limited budget just to rent the software, you redirect those funds directly into customer acquisition and growth.
Okay, so if the $3 is just the entry fee and our real starting capital is being eaten by marketing and domain costs, that makes our 90-day window incredibly high stakes.
Very much so.
How do we allocate those 90 days so we aren't just, burning ad money on a broken storefront? The guide lays out a very specific timeline. Walk me through it.
Sure. The blueprint is highly structured to prevent paralysis by analysis. Days 1 through 7 are dedicated purely to the foundation.
Okay, week 1, foundation.
The directive here is extreme focus. You choose a niche, add 10 to 20 products, and set up your payment processing. Crucially, the guide explicitly warns against purchasing a premium custom theme during this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they strongly recommend using a highly optimized free theme. They specifically name the Dawn theme.
I want to pause there because a lot of beginners assume a free theme looks, cheap.
It's a common misconception.
What is the mechanism that makes a free theme like Dawn better for a beginner than, say, a $300 premium theme?
It comes down to structural dependency. Premium things are often designed around massive, high-resolution custom photography and complex branding.
Like lifestyle shoots with models and stuff.
Exactly. If you just drop basic supplier photos into a premium theme, the website looks broken and hollow. It just doesn't fit.
Oh, that makes sense. It highlights what you're missing.
Right. The Dawn theme, however, is architecturally designed to look clean, modern, and trustworthy, even with sparse basic imagery. It prevents you from getting bogged down in graphic design when you should be focused on operations.
That makes a lot of sense. Which leads to days 8 through 14, Polish and launch.
Yep, getting ready for the public.
The guide says the doors should be open to the public by day 14, but let me push back on that for a second. Launching in 14 days sounds like a recipe for a sloppy, untrustworthy website.
It sounds rushed, sure.
Yeah. If I land on a store that was clearly thrown together in a week, I'm keeping my credit card in my wallet. How does the guide reconcile that kind of speed with consumer trust?
That is exactly why days 8 through 14 are entirely focused on what the industry calls trust pages.
Trust pages, okay.
The speed of the launch is balanced by establishing legitimacy. You aren't tweaking button colors. You are writing a transparent About Us page, outlining clear shipping and return policies, and making sure your contact information is highly visible.
So it's about making it look like a real, accountable business.
Exactly. Consumers don't need a website to be a complex work of art. They need it to be secure, clear, and accountable. Once those trust signals are in place, the guide insists you launch.
Okay, so we are live by week 2. What happens in days 15 through 30?
This is the first marketing phase. You start pushing content to social media platforms and running small, hyper-targeted ad campaigns, maybe $5 to $10 a day.
It's just dipping your toes in.
Right. The goal here isn't immediate profit. You are buying data. You want to see which products generate clicks and which audiences are actually engaging with your brand.
Which transitions into days 31 through 60. Optimize and scale.
Exactly.
Now that you have a flow of real visitors, you can look at the analytics. If hundreds of people are adding a product to their cart but abandoning it at checkout, you have a shipping cost issue, not a product appeal issue.
That is exactly the kind of analysis you should be doing during that phase. And then we enter days 61 through 90, the evaluate phase.
The final stretch.
Right. This is the decision window. And the source material highlights a very specific, almost surprisingly low milestone you should aim for during this time, making at least $100 in revenue.
I was really struck by that number when I read it.
It surprises a lot of people.
I mean, not $10,000, not $1 million, $100. Why is that specific threshold so vital?
Because of what it represents psychologically and operationally.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can convince their mother or their best friend to buy a product out of pity.
Right, the sympathy buy.
Exactly. But if you can build a system that convinces complete strangers on the internet to pull out their credit cards and give you $100, the fundamental concept is validated.
You've proven the machine works.
Exactly. The payment gateways work. The marketing resonates. The product has appeal. The mechanics of the business are sound.
That makes a lot of sense.
Scaling from $100 to $1,000 is just a matter of optimization. But getting from 0 to 100 is the true proof of concept.
So, what does this all mean for the pitfalls we need to avoid? We have this logical blueprint, we have our $100 validation goal, but the reality is that the vast majority of beginners still fail.
Sadly, yes.
Where does the guide say people usually crash the car?
The most prevalent trap cited is the perfection trap. We touched on this slightly with the 14-day launch rule.
Right, over-designing things.
Store owners will spend 60 days paralyzed, agonizing over the exact shade of blue for their add to cart button instead of just putting the product in front of the market.
Oh, man.
They exhaust their 90-day runway without ever collecting a single piece of customer feedback.
Another trap the text highlights is app bloat. We know there are over 13,000 apps available. The temptation is to install countdown timers, pop-up wheels, currency converters, and live chat widgets all on day 1.
Which is catastrophic for conversion rates.
Why is that? Just too messy visually?
Well, it's the mechanism of app bloat. It directly impacts your page load speed. Every app you install adds external code to your website.
Ah, so it slows everything down.
Right. If your site takes more than 3 seconds to load because it's rendering 20 different widgets, the customer will simply close the tab.
And you lose the sale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The guide advises keeping the site incredibly lean until the revenue actively justifies the expense and the potential drag on site speed.
But the most baffling trap the text mentions, to me at least, is merchants failing to fully set up their payment processing.
Oh, it happens far more often than you would think.
How does that even happen?
A merchant builds a beautiful store, spends real money driving traffic to it, but leaves the payment gateway in test mode or fails to connect their bank routing numbers.
So people literally can't buy anything.
Right. A customer tries to buy, receives an error message, and just leaves. It is the ultimate unforced error, turning away people who are actively trying to hand you money.
That is brutal. Okay, so let's assume we avoid all those traps. We follow the blueprint, we get our validation sales, and we're operating a functional store.
Mm.
Eventually, the 90-day runway ends.
Right, the clock runs out.
What happens on day 91? Does the store just vanish if you don't do anything?
No, the transition is seamless, but it does require an active decision. By default, the basic plan will automatically renew at the standard rate, which the guide lists at $39 a month.
Okay, $39.
If your store is generating consistent sales, $39 is an easily justifiable operational expense.
Sure, if you're making money.
However, if you need more time to refine your products but aren't quite ready to scale, there is a pause and build option for $9 a month.
Oh, I like that. A sort of middle ground.
Yeah, your storefront goes offline to the public, preventing any new sales, but you retain full access to the back-end admin panel to continue working on your infrastructure.
But the guide drops a massive pro tip here for the listener who has successfully validated their store. Before the promotional window closes, you shouldn't just let it roll over into the $39 monthly plan.
Right. The insider strategy here is to manually switch your account to annual billing right before the trial ends.
Okay, what does that do?
By committing to a year up front, the monthly breakdown drops from $39 to $29.
Oh, wow.
That is a 25% reduction in your core software cost.
Yeah.
Yes, you pay the annual total up front, but you save $120 over the course of the year.
That's significant.
If your business is validated and generating revenue, locking in that lower fixed cost is the smartest financial maneuver you can execute.
To give all of this analysis some industry context, the guide briefly touches on the competitors. Why wouldn't someone use a platform like BigCommerce or Wix? Or better yet, why not use WooCommerce, which is technically completely free?
Well, when you look at the landscape, the 90-day runway is unmatched because BigCommerce and Wix still largely rely on those 14 to 15-day trials.
Right, going back to the artificial panic zone.
Exactly. That puts you right back in the spot where you can't properly validate a product.
But break down the WooCommerce argument for me. If it's an open source, free plugin, isn't that mathematically better than paying anything at all?
The guide tackles this directly, actually. Free software often ignores the massive cost of technical debt.
Technical debt.
Right. To run WooCommerce, you have to purchase your own secure web hosting, which usually costs $20 or more a month for reliable speeds.
So it's not really free.
Not at all. You have to manually configure your SSL certificates. But the real hidden cost is that technical debt. If a software update breaks your checkout plugin on a Friday night, you aren't spending your weekend running marketing campaigns. You are playing server administrator, digging through code forums to fix your site.
That sounds like a nightmare for a beginner.
It really is. That lost momentum, that constant requirement to maintain the infrastructure yourself, it far exceeds the $3 you'd spend on a managed ecosystem where the platform handles all the servers for you.
Okay, let's bring all of this together. We've deconstructed the costs, the 90-day blueprint, the psychological traps, and the industry context.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. Whether you are someone who has never sold a physical product in your life, or, you're a seasoned side hustler looking to test a new digital download without draining your savings, this specific promotional window fundamentally shifts the math of entrepreneurship.
It really changes the game.
It does. It removes the massive financial risk that historically prevented people from even trying. For less than the cost of a mediocre cup of coffee, you were buying the time and the infrastructure to answer one simple, profound question. Will people actually buy what I'm selling?
And this raises a vital question for you, the listener, to take away from our analysis today. We've spent this entire deep dive deconstructing how this $3 offer systematically removed the financial and technical barriers to starting a business.
Right.
But if the financial barrier is gone and the technical barrier is managed by the platform, the only barrier left is entirely psychological.
Oh, that's powerful.
What idea have you been withholding from the world simply because you were afraid it might actually succeed if you truly committed to it?
That is the ultimate takeaway. The structural excuses are gone. Now it is purely about execution. If you're listening to this, Skip the cafe tomorrow, claim your 90-day runway, and let's see what you can build when the only thing left to test is your own ambition. Thanks for joining us as we unpack this guide, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.